welcome to Lead Live, reminding you of your personal genius and how you think in order to actualize what you desire. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wow, depending upon where you're on the planet, where you're at on the planet, you're experiencing one of those. And we're just very fortunate to have you here with us today. And on a subject that's near and dear, my co-host and I, Dr. Martin Kwende, and I have this series that's been going on for nearly a year called The Wealth Equation. And we believe that wealth, fully actualized, is a reflection of us having a healthy sense of the following: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. We spend time discussing a myriad of those areas throughout the year because we want to remind people that there's power in having a clear faith, whatever that faith is. A faith in something, a faith in someone, a faith in life itself and the capacity of one, because of this broader understanding of the big picture. And the big picture that each one of us has may be qualitatively different, yet equally powerful. And so we want you to invest in, if you don't have faith, ask yourself, what could you have faith in? And allow yourself to spend time there daily, going deeper and deeper. If you don't have a family, ask yourself how you might benefit from a family. And then go about creating a family, whatever that means, whether it is part of your birth family that you don't know, that you're exploring, you're getting to know, or it's a family that you've never experienced before. It's just an ideal. Go for it. Certainly, fitness, the valuable aspect of health, internal health, well-being is powerful. The ability to get up and to move and to function and to think and to be able to engage in ways that enable us to continue to grow, pay it forward. Oh, wow. Well-being, not only physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, and back to faith, spiritual well-being. Fun, something I have had to learn. And as you'll hear from Dr. Kwende, something he's known for a while, the power of fun. And I'm going to ask Jet to go ahead and bring my co-host in. Excellent. There's that brilliant man. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we don't let that stop us, do we, Dr. Kwende?
Dr. Webb, can you hear me?
Can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I have
Let's
to
keep
kind
both,
of...
yeah, let's keep both of those technologies going.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, life always happens and something takes over, but it's all good. So I'm glad to be on. Thank you so much for the kind introduction and for inviting me to your platform. I'm excited about the topic that we have for today.
Yes, in fact, the topic, and although I was talking about the wealth equation and landed with fun, I want us to come back there by the end, because fun is more than just physical activity. It's more than just, and yet it's inclusive of experiencing joy. It's more than just, it's inclusive of laughter. It's those things and much more. And the topic is really about financial freedom as part of the precondition to ensuring ongoing healthy conditions, the ability to actualize even more of your faith. In fact, when you have faith, you know that you were born free. You hear that? You know you were born free. Yes, there are constraints on us as humans. But when we know we're born free, oh my goodness, the vista is ours. So our topic, and Dr. Kwende and I are going to speak on today, is ABCs of financial freedom. And Dr. Kwende, I want to start off with something by asking folks some questions. And maybe we have a brief discussion about that and then just charge right into answering some key questions, especially what are the ABCs of financial freedom. I want to ask folks to think about, can a 20-year-old earning $50,000 a year annually become financially free? Think about that question. Can a 30-year-old earning the same amount of money annually, 50,000 a year, become financially free? Can a 50-year-old earning $250,000 a year annually, or redundant, become financially free? I want to postulate that literally anyone can become financially free. And I would suggest, depending upon who you're talking to, who's earning that 50,000 a year or 250,000 a year, some folks are already financially free at that level. So we're going to talk about some of the fundamentals of why we have that perspective, why we understand that everyone can become financially free with certain conditions. You want to begin by just laying out some of the things that you believe are preconditions, Dr. Kwende, especially maybe it's just discussing what financial freedom means first. What do you think?
Well, Dr. Webb, so we've talked about the concept of wealth for quite a while, and it really boils down to the five F's, right? It's about faith, finance, family. So it's faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. That just in that order, right? So about in our business, having wealth is about having those five things in check. Because there are a lot of people that have a lot of finance, a lot of money, but they're not happy, they're not healthy. That's not called wealth. So if you become wealthy, you have to have things in balance. And that's why we talk about all the five F's all the time, right? So one has to check oneself in those key areas of life. And that's the essence of wealth. However, having money makes all the other things come into play faster. So yes, we talk about wealth, but it's not just about one thing, it's about five separate things together.
Yeah. People tend to have different perceptions of financial freedom. How would you define financial freedom?
Dr. Webb, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, go ahead.
Because
How
I
would you
can't hear you
define?
right now, unfortunately.
Oh, you
That's
can't hear
something
me?
wrong.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties, folks. So as Dr. Quinde begins to hear me, and hopefully can hear me, just raise your finger when you can hear me, Dr. Quinde. Uh, in terms of financial freedom, we get to define freedom as we want to. Financial freedom. Dr. Quinde, can I recommend something? Call me on my phone, and then you can hear me, and then we can hear you. How does that sound? Jet, can you share that with Dr. Quinde? Thank you, Jet. So as we advance through these technical difficulties, I think we lost him again.
Let's see.
Financial freedom is really having enough money to do fundamentally what you want to do. That's it. It's simple as that. So the question you have to ask yourself, what is your big vision? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to experience? And then back up and say, how do I get there? And so, what is that experience? What do you want to do? What is the dollar amount that's associated with that achieving what you want to experience? And then walking back and saying, how do I get there? Emphasis added, literally, having enough savings, having enough investments, literally cash on hand to live the way you want to live. That's it. So there's a whole movement around tiny homes. Why? Because a lot of folks just want to be free of a lot of things. And why? Because they want to travel more. Why? Because they want to spend more time with their children. Why? Because they want to spend more time adding value in the community and having a huge mortgage or a huge space that they're not using, or having all kinds of things that have no real value for them anymore. It's not as important. What's important is having shelter, high quality food, the ability to move around at will, and give in the way that they choose to give. So, what is financial freedom? It means different things for different people, but always starting with the end, always imagining big. I get to literally live to the age of 90, 100. What do I want to look back on my life and say, I've experienced, I've contributed, I've made a profound difference? That's my legacy. And I know that independent of when I transition, that my children, my children's children, my children's children's children will pay it forward because of the way I chose to live my life. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine building a base where we're financially free? That's what we're talking about. It's more than just having money set aside. As Dr. Kwende say, a lot of folks have money. Can you hear me, Dr. Kwende?
Can you hear me now?
Excellent.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So financial freedom to you is what? Okay. We can't hear you now. Just
Okay.
lost you. Now
Can
we
you hear
can.
me now?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, the point is I have to connect to.
We're having some feedback. So we're just going to move in. Here's the issue. A great deal of us, as Dr. Quinte and I know, we know a lot of folks. We've interacted with a lot of folks because we're in the financial services industry, the largest industry on the planet, the largest industry in the United States of America, the most highly regulated, the most regulated industry, which we're very appreciative of, that ensures a level of integrity when we engage with our clients, when we engage with businesses, when we engage with families, individuals. We want people to get beyond the worry that's associated with finance. We want them to be so unencumbered by the worry that what? They're able to live, live in a way that allows them to enjoy their family, that allows them to have fun, that allow them to be able to just practice their faith and revalidate their faith because they've achieved what their faith makes clear is their birthright. That's it. But see, when we're not financially free, what happens? And we'll just continue to test Dr. Quinde because he's got a lot of gems and we don't want to lose his and just have me convey. But just know that what I'm conveying is basically on behalf of both of us. What happens when we don't have the wherewithal financially to do what we need to do, let alone what we want to do? We need to have shelter. We need to have clothing. We need to have food. We need to be able to take care of our families. We need to be able to build communities that's sustainable. We need to be able to complement society in a remarkable way so we can pay it forward for the next generation. And each generation forward grows and is healthier. We need that. If we are not able to meet our basic needs, we worry, we stress. And what are the consequences of those things? Clearly, in terms of our health, we take for granted and we say, oh my goodness, this particular population has an undue level of stress. So they have more diabetes, they have more high blood pressure, etc. And a lot of it is born out of this, it's born out of that, whether it's the system that evidence in terms of racism, sexism, homophobia, whatever it happens to be, that stress. When you're financially free, you're like, I don't care about that nonsense. I'm in a place where I can take care of me and my family. All that nonsense may continue to go on, but I'm in a space where I don't have to worry about it. Okay? We don't want you to be disrupted in your sleep. We don't want you to feel the difficulty concentrating, having headaches, experiencing nausea, muscle tensions, exhaustion, irritability, early onset of Alzheimer's, hormone issues, elevated stress hormones, irritability. All those things have consequences. What? Relationships. They harm relationships unless you have them in check. You inadvertently stop talking, stop communicating. You're secretive because you don't want others to know that you're in financial distress. It's embarrassing. Or worse off, you're fearful and you don't want people to know you're walking around in fear, especially loved ones who are dependent upon you, children who need, or actually, some of us don't even safeguard our children. We just let it out, unleash it on them out of anger, distress, or even talking about it. I can't get you that because I have no money, or we're broke. We're going to lose our home. Can you imagine what a child has to deal with in that environment? And yet we lose sight of perspective when we don't have our matters well established, taken care of, when our financial house is not in order. And that's what Dr. Kwende and I want to emphasize. We want you to have your financial house in order so that level of stress, worry, distress, worse off, illness, worse off, early death. Oh my goodness, those things don't happen. They're minimized because of your own growth. They're eliminated. Your own growth, you don't have to worry about that into the next generation. Business survival. You think of how many businesses, unfortunately, we lost over the last year. I say unfortunately, because not only were those business, many of them providing essential resources for local communities that would otherwise not have those resources. They're providing jobs as part of that. Actually, employment. Oh my goodness. So too many people lost the ability to even bring in resources because businesses were not financially able to withstand the consequence of having to close down, shut down because of coronavirus 19 pandemic. And yet some businesses did. How did they do that? They had appropriate financial plan. They had appropriate coverage. They had appropriate support to ensure that they could withstand closing independent of the amount of time. That's what we're talking about. We really want you to raise your children. We want you to raise your family. We mean elevate them to a place in yourself, first and foremost, so that you can do it for your children, your family overall, and society, and definitely businesses. So there's less concern about the viability of that small business, that mid-sized business, even the larger and growing corporations. They tend to know, and that's the difference between those in the know and those don't. They tend to know what to do financially. Not all of them, but they tend to know to back up their organization with appropriate support. So they're free of the financial worry and less concerned about the distressing financial consequences of having their doors temporarily closed or permanently closed. So I think we have Dr. Kwende back. Now, what I'd like to do is jump in and have us talk about the ABCs of financial freedom. What are the ABCs? Dr. Kwende, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now? Oh my goodness.
Okay, it's okay. It's all okay. We just was our mentor tell us? What do we know? We don't panic.
No funny, you pivot.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so go for it. Tell us all the things that were in your head that you couldn't say, and you're like, okay, I've got to slow down and take care of the technology as it relates to financial freedom, because now we're moving in the ABCs of financial freedom.
Awesome, awesome. Thank Dr. Webb. My apologies for the technical challenges, but hey, like you say, we don't panic, we just pivot, right? So yeah, obviously, growing up, we told, oh, just go study, get degrees, and life will be good. But as you do all the things you're supposed to do, you start to find out that the way they tell you is really not the way it's supposed to be, right? And so, you have to kind of switch a little bit and start paying attention to wealth in a way, right? Of course, if you're allergic to wealth, then I understand. But there's some ABC, some
Oh,
basic.
wait, what did you say? If you're allergic to wealth, you understand. That's powerful. Some people are allergic, and then you got to figure out, are there cures to that allergy, and it's real. I love it. It's funny, but it's real, folks. Some people are allergic to wealth, and we mean the wealth equation, not only the finance. Some people are allergic to finance. They're allergic to families. They're allergic to faith. And so we understand that, but we want you to find a way to heal so that you get to magnify who you are and leverage the greatness of life itself. But go for it, Dr. Kwende. My apologies for cutting you off.
Right. No, that's awesome. So when we talk about the ABCs of wealth, right, it seems very, simple. The first, bottom line is what I would say the A would be more like awareness, right? You have to be aware first where you are. And the question I ask most people is very simple. Are you financially where you thought you're going to be at this point in your life? If you can answer that question honestly, then you're going to start changing some things. You're going to take some action, right? Because if you don't take action, first you have to be aware to take action. This is part of why we do financial education, because until you're aware, you're not going to take any action. So the first step is to be aware. Now, in school, they don't teach you anything about money necessarily. At least I didn't learn any, right? I just learned to go to work, and that was it. So I started learning about financial awareness, and I actually hired a financial professional. But the system, the way it's set up, you don't necessarily know everything you're supposed to know, because the system, I believe, is set up for the interest of the person that's showing you. That's kind of how I talk about it. I may be wrong, but that's how I saw it, right? You're not told everything. I mean, think about it. How do you buy a house? You put down a down payment, then 5 years in, you don't have a job, you get into a serious accident. What does the bank do? They take the house and they keep your money. Right? You go to work, you spend your entire time studying, you have degrees, you put your best at your job. Every day, 8 to 5. And then someday they get a little distressed. Guess what? They call you in. Like, hey, listen, Dr. Webb, we're having some stress. So guess what? We might not need you tomorrow. They don't care if you have a mortgage. They don't care if you have kids. It doesn't matter. You're gone. That's part of the system, right? You go to the bank and you put your money in the bank. They give it to your neighbor. They charge them 15% on the credit card and they pay 0.1%. That's the system. But once you start to pay attention and you understand, you have a shot at changing the game, right? So the truth is that for right now, the awareness is where everything starts. Once you're aware of what is actually there, then you have a shot at winning the game. We're playing the money game, the wealth game, but we don't even know the rules. There's no way you can win any game without knowing the rules.
There's the deal. Who knows? Who knows? As an 18-year-old, if they could actually bypass the banks and put money in their own bank. Who knows that at 18 years old? Who knows that the banks and the corporations have what's called BOLIs and COLIs in order to do just that, to maximize their returns? We won't talk about specifics, but who knows that? Who knows that a 70-year-old could take retirement savings as he is looking to retire, place it into account, from an account that literally after the retirement savings are gone, that's it. Place it into account where the money is there until that person transitions. Who knows that? That's what we're talking about, folks. And you and I were talking about, in terms of awareness, Dr. Kwende, this notion of $1 million baby. Everyone who has a child should know about that. Everyone who has a child should know about the $1 million baby plan. Everyone. Why? Because you could have a child you've invested in for a number of years, literally, and stop at a certain level that's within your means, whether you're earning $30,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $250,000 a year, millions a year. You need to have your child have such plan, because you're assuring that that child has at least $1 million by the time that person is ready to retire. And you just stop investing by the time that person's 14, 18, you're done. That money is compounding. But you have to have the right account and have that account established the right way. But who knows? Who would know, short of being educated financially? And you're so on it, Dr. Kwende. Most of us are not aware of things that are available in plain sight. There are books here I've read more and more and more than once. And this is like maybe 10% of my library. And I just keep reading, and realize, oh, I missed this. How could I miss it? I read it. I thought I was paying attention. But then I have others who expose me to the fundamentals to take me deeper. So then I go back to the text and, oh, now I understand. So we're building schema, folks. We all have existing knowledge, and that knowledge allows us to be able to take and consume new knowledge. But unless we have pre-existing schema, we won't understand the new knowledge very well. So it's going to take a while. That's okay. You've got the time. We hope you make the time, because awareness is going to ensure that your mind becomes sharper and sharper as you educate it more. It becomes sharper and sharper. Your level of acuity will just gives you a deeper level of perception and the ability to be more alert. You're using more of your cognitive faculties. So when someone mentions something over here, you should do this with your money, instead of you running, you're automatically thinking, oh, wait, I understand if I do that, here are the consequences. And here's the consequences to my business. No, thank you. But thank you for thinking about me. Another idea over here. You run over here. Not a smart idea, but I'm not going to discourage that person from going there. I just want them to know the facts that I've learned, and then refer them to the textbook, the articles, the facts. That's what we're talking about in terms of awareness. What's the second one? We said burning desire, right?
Yes, burning desire. So once you're aware, you have to have a burning desire to make the change, right? Part of our challenge is that we position our money wrong because we don't know where to put it. You put your money in the bank, the bank knows how to reposition your money in their benefit, right? You could skip the bank and reposition your money correctly, right? But you have to have a desire to be wealthy. That's why I said some people are allergic to wealth, right? Because we're told growing up that wealth is evil. Being wealthy, they say money is the root of all evil, which is really not true. But that's what broke people say, right? And I used to believe that, by the way. When I was younger, I told myself, I don't want to be wealthy because I don't want to lose my friends. And that was actually true, because I've lost some of my friends right now. Right? When I tried to become a little bit wealthy, some of my friends just ran away from me, and it's okay. Right? But you have to have a burning desire to change it, to change where you are. The truth is that once you have the right knowledge, the right awareness, you have everything in your power to make the difference. The sad part is that most people make enough money to be wealthy, but because they don't know where to position it, they die broke. What does the Bible say? For lack of knowledge, my people perish. So it's not that we don't have the resources, it's that we don't know how to leverage the resources we have. And when they took financial education out of the schooling system, that's exactly where the problem started. Why? Because the people that understand that keep all the money. But when you don't, you work for them, right? So for me, it's like you have to first be aware, then you have to have a burning desire to change where you are. Once you get that part, I also call it what? You have to be brutally honest with yourself to evaluate where you are. So when I ask the question to any of my clients that I sit with, are you financially where you thought you're going to be at this point in your life?
Most of them say no. So I'm like, is it because you're not working hard enough? They're like, no, I work hard. I'm like, so what's the problem? Right? It's just lack of the right knowledge. That's it.
You got
Once
it.
you have the knowledge, you have to have the willingness to make the difference, to make the change. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Dina. She enjoys listening to us during lunch break. Thank you. She loves our solid advice and wisdom regarding the connection between finance and emotional health. You're welcome, Dina. And you are the reason why we're doing this. We want everyone to, even if you know this stuff and you're not living it, there's a disconnect. Maybe cognitive dissonance. You're intellectual, you know it, but don't believe it applies to you, or don't believe you're worthy of it. You're worthy of the best. You don't have to earn it. The fact that you're alive, you are worthy of it. And so this burning desire, I want to add to what you said, Dr. Kwende. We know that from brain research that literally we are constantly adapting, and we are responding to the wiring that's coming from the heart. There's more signals coming from the heart to throughout the body, but especially to the brain, which is part of the mind. The mind's in every cell of the body, and we don't even know where it rests. But there's more activity in the heart organ shooting all over the place, including into the brain, influencing the mind at the subconscious level. The subconscious mind is the emotional mind. And when we have a burning desire for something, we're wired to pursue it because it's our emotions. It's the essence of who we are. We function literally. We also know from research on the mind, the subconscious mind, that most of what we do as humans daily, 90 to 99%, depending upon where we are, the research says 95 to 90%. But I'm assuming there's some great folks out there who weren't part of the research. But most of what we do daily is driven by the emotional mind. So when we say burning desire, we're saying we want you to feel that. We want you to have it so much embedded as part of your grand dream, that's part of your vision, that's operationalized in terms of your goal, that your actions are directly aligned with that. And when it's a burning desire, that's possible. When you don't have a burning desire and you just know you've got a commitment in your head, let me tell you, the likelihood of you following through is almost nil. We know it. So I want to emphasize definitely what Dr. Kwende has shared. And Judith, thank you very much. We're on it. Go for it, Kwende, Dr. Kwende. The next one is commitment, right? Now this
Yes.
is powerful.
Yes, you have to make a commitment to actually go through the process of making the change. One of the things that I understand is that, if you want to become wealthy, you have to pay a price. That means if you change what you're familiar with, you're going to be going through some kind of pain. Most people are not committed to going through that pain, right? And so if you don't have to want to do that, then nothing can really change. If you have a 401k and I ask you to change the 401k into a plan that will never be taxed after, it might require that you pay the taxes right now, right? There might be a penalty for accessing your money right now. You have to be willing or committed to going through the pain that is required to make a change. Because most people don't like change. And if you want to reposition, you have to change something. And that something might cost you something for right now. But I always tell most people my commitment to anything is not based on how I want to feel right now. It's based on how I want to feel 5 years from now. That's how I decide what to do right now.
Word.
And you have to be very clear. Clarity, you have to be clear what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Commitment, taking action, and not stopping. I was just talking to someone I'm working with who is remarkable. And I was talking about the power of moving in a direction and being unrelenting, and that pursuit of whatever it is that you've decided on. Because the moment you stop, because there's distress, there's pain, there's a terror barrier that you're up against, and it's like, oh my God, I've never experienced that before. It's not possible. Why is it happening to me? And then we retreat. And because all the voices coming to us, oh, you don't have to do that. You're already, you're comfortable. Don't worry about that. Why are you trying to pursue that? And with what company? Have you read what they wrote about it? And no, you let all that noise come in. Your wealth, all that we describe as wealth, your benefits may literally be 3 feet away, maybe a mile away, maybe in your backyard. There's a little book, and I don't have it in here, and maybe you can remember it, Dr. Kwende. It's going to come to me in a second. But it's a very short read. You can read it within an hour, and it really hits home the power of our commitment, our journey. And if we choose to stop, we may literally stop right before that achievement is actualized. And there are so many examples of that, where people were overwhelmed, they were distressed, they even did some things that are even worse, I won't mention here. And because they were afraid that they wouldn't achieve what they had worked so tirelessly to achieve. So commitment and clarity, when you remember why you are starting this to begin with, and you remain steadfast, you're going to achieve it. The only people who don't achieve are those who stop, because they forget why they were doing it to begin with, and they lose the commitment. And Dr. Kwende, why is it that when we go towards something that's powerful, we experience these big challenges? Why is that?
Well, what I understand, and you remember when we talk about wealth, it's not just some one thing, right? It's all those 5 F's. But there's a different definition of wealth. It says wealth equals opportunity plus mental toughness, right? It says wealth is not for pansies. If you want to become wealthy, you have to be mentally tough. But where does mental toughness come from? It comes from adversity. So the truth is, if you want to become wealthy, you have to face challenges. That's just the way it works. In fact, the Bible says that the road that is wide and open is going the wrong way. The one that is narrow and difficult, that's where you're supposed to go. So you should expect challenges as part of the process. I always tell people, if you understand the process.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? Repeat that. Okay, repeat that. I think I clicked something inadvertently, so I'm creating the challenge. Go ahead. You said, what were you saying? Repeat it, please.
No, I'm saying that, if you want to become wealthy, the equation says wealth equals opportunity plus mental toughness. And I'm just saying that mental toughness comes from adversity, right? So you should expect challenges if you are going the right direction of building wealth. There's no wealthy person that doesn't go through challenges. You also have to understand that there are laws of nature, right? Everything takes time. There's a season for planting and there's a season for harvesting. Don't plant corn right now and go back the next day to harvest. There's not enough time yet. You have to wait.
You mean I have to wait for the seedling to actually, take advantage of the right soil and have to have sun and have to have water? I have to wait for that?
Exactly. But one thing you have to keep in mind is laws of nature never fail. If you plant, you're bound to harvest if you wait for the right season. Right? If you go doing a PhD, for example, most of us go to school. If they say it takes 4 years or 5, whatever, you have to take the time to do it. Most of us try to assess our success, our progress when the time has not been done yet. It's the same thing with trying to build anything. There's a process to it, right? You have to allow the process to happen.
Got it.
In fact, I tell most people, I don't know, a lot of people don't farm, but if you plant corn, you put it in the ground, you wait for it to pop out through the ground, then you have the little plant, then it grows, and then it flowers, then there's pollination. and then the corn starts to form, and there's even nothing in the corn just yet. So for most of the life of a corn plant, there's no corn. Right? It only really comes towards the end. So you can't try to get the results when you haven't done the time. And that's how most people give up, because they're not willing to go through the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Emphasis on going through the time, taking action. And so what did Judith writes, opportunity plus mental toughness. It's right on. Adversity and challenges, the narrow and difficult road is the right way, folks. You're on it, Judith. Yes. And Inner says, true, doctor. True, doctor. Every time you accomplish anything, you ask yourself this question. Dr. Kwende and I say, ask this question. Is this what I'm doing putting me on the left side or the wrong side of the cash flow quadrant? Okay, now we're going to show you examples of the cash flow quadrant. Thanks to a gentleman, and I'm going to let you start off because I love how you just succinctly summarize things, and this is a discussion anyway. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dr. Webb. Actually, that question that you just asked, I call it the wealth question. Okay? Because at the end of the day, every day we wake up, we're going to do something. We go to school, we go to church, we take our kids somewhere. But every time you do something, I need to ask yourself, this graphic right here changed my entire perspective about life. It's called the cash flow quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, right? On the left side, on the top level, it says employee, bottom left, self-employed. You trade time for money. Look at the equation. Clock equals money. 8 hours you work, you get paid 8 hours. 0 hours of work, 0 pay. So you have to show up. On the right side, top right, you like Bill Gates, you own a system called Microsoft. Whether you're there or not, it's making you money. Bottom right, own investments, you like Warren Buffett. Whether you're there or not, your investments are making you money. So on the right side, you don't have to be there. On the left side, you have to be present. So everybody that's on the left side never has time because they have to be present to make any money. But people on the right side always have time. The sad part is most of us that are well educated find ourselves on the left side. I call it the wrong side of the cash flow quadrant. Unfortunately, what we keep doing is that we keep going back to school, getting more degrees, and none of that activity is getting us to the right side. When somebody told me that just getting a financial license, which took me like a week, right, gave me the freedom to go to the right side, I was kind of like blown away. It took me 7 years to get a PhD, and I was stuck at my job after 20 years of working. And it took me 7 days to get a financial license, and it put me on the right side. My entire life flipped. It's really that powerful, that simple. So question, every day you wake up and you're doing something, whatever it is, ask yourself this basic question. When I'm done doing what I'm doing, does it put me on the left side, means I'm broke, or the right side means I'm financially free? It's that simple.
I like this visual of it too, because it just reminds people, and what a statement that's attributed to both John D. Rockefeller as well as another wealthy individual, financially speaking. I would rather earn 1% off the people's effort of 100 people's effort rather than 100% of my own effort. Think about that, folks. So on the left side, as we're employees, as we are entrepreneurs, we have to put in that time in order to generate anything. If we're physically not there putting in the time, whatever that looks like, 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 80 hours a week, then we don't have the income that we require. On the right, I don't need to echo what Dr. Kwende said, but you see the difference. I like this one too, this other visual, because, and it's J. Paul Getty who was attributed with that same statement. But below, you may not be able to read it, but Robert Kiyosaki writes, the main reason why financially, why most of us struggle financially is because we've spent years in school, but learned nothing about money. The result is that people learn to work for money, but never learn to have money work for them. And that's what we're talking about, folks. Can you imagine literally functioning in a way where your money is working for you, whatever you're earning, from whatever source, legitimate source, you're putting it someplace and you're having it work for you. Then you have the freedom to physically work anywhere you want to live your passion, whether as an artist, a person who's leading in the sports arena, a person who's a dancer, a person who's a musician, a person who is running a nonprofit, a person who's building up his or her business to employ people so they have a means of income, a person who's working for another employer because you value the mission and it's synergistic with your passion. You get to do what you choose and you're not stressed because you know your money is working for you. And you're not in fear that it's tied someplace where it may plummet. You've got it safe and secure. Where Dr. Kwende and I are talking about that. We're not talking about specific products and services here, but we want you to know they exist. They're codified in IRS code. In fact, one has been codified in IRS code since 1913. And the vast majority of us have never even heard of it. But we've heard of 401k that came about and was implemented in 1978. It's widespread. Why haven't we heard of this other? It was made available to everybody in 1913. Question that. But more importantly, as Dr. Kwende is getting ready to say something, spend less time questioning. Ask yourself, how do you take advantage of it?
Dr. Webb, if you just put back that, I love this last one that you just put up. You see what is in red?
Mm-hmm.
It says 100% times U equals income. Mm-hmm. And the other side says 1% times 100, which means you are one of the 100 equals income. So on the left side, if you take you out of the equation, guess what? Your income is 0. But on the right side, if you take you out, you see I have 99 people, you make 99% income. See that? That's crazy. I love the way this is. If you take you on the left side out of the equation, you have 0 income. But on the right side, if you take you out, you still have 99 people that are working for you, you still make income. That's the difference.
We hope that you're not only getting this, that you are looking at your own financial conditions and saying, am I already here? And some of you may already be here because you've gotten the right information. And to you, we say kudos. Please share it with others because that's part of the challenge. I remember sharing something with someone who I didn't know knew about what we're doing. And this person very proudly said, oh yeah, I took advantage of it years ago. I said, well, wow, that's great. Then you probably share it with a lot of people. She looked at me like I was nuts. No, this is mine. And you get to do that. But let me tell you, the power is in sharing it with more people so that more of us are able to be in this state. And that's what Dr. Kwende and I are about. Yes, we could just take this stuff and walk away and say, we got ours. Hopefully they'll get theirs. No. We understand fundamentally the degree to which more of us are well, not only financially, but in terms of all the 5 F's. Oh my God. The human species is better. And our conditions, just by a mere reaction, is elevated. When all of us are elevated, each individual is elevated. When one of us or groups of us are harmed or not receiving resources, or worse yet, don't have the proper information, it drags us all down. None of us really are able to fully actualize. That's what this is about. Understanding that we are our sisters, our brothers' keepers. We choose to be. I know you don't have to be, but we choose to be. So Dr. Kwende,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
real, how can people attain financial freedom?
It's called ABC. Right? You got to be aware about where you are and what options are available to you. They have to take some action, right? Then you have to obviously have the burning desire to make that difference. You have to be brutally honest with yourself about where you are and make a commitment to get to where you need to go through the challenges that are necessary to make it possible, right? No one wins in life by chance. It's all very intentional. Most people that I know, most people that I'm close to are very well educated. So they're very committed to what they know. The truth is that most of us don't know the right stuff when it comes to wealth, unfortunately. And when I first got exposed to this system, I told myself that I'm going to have some amazing people in the business. Why? Because I understood from the wealth equation that most of the people that I know are mentally tough because of what we have to go through to survive in the society that we're part of. The only challenge that I knew we had was the opportunities that we're using. Most of us are using what I call a JOB, journey of the broke. There's no wealthy person that has a JOB, not one. So as soon as I got exposed to the right opportunity, game over. I was already mentally tough, like crazy. I just didn't have the right opportunity. Right. So that's why I'm even more excited knowing that most of the people that I know, if they just understood first that they're mentally tough, so they're halfway to becoming wealthy and they just need the right opportunities, game over. That's it. Seriously. So the world is about to change big time, if you ask me.
Oh, God. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's go there. Yes, I firmly agree with you. The world has changed in ways that we could not have anticipated prior to just 2 years ago, although some of us talked in this space before. I had forgotten that I talked in that space. When I was president of a college, folks heard me talk about literally transforming the nature of education, integrating things and making things available so that people all over the planet have access, and using holographic imaging so that we can actually be in the same space and time with people independent of where they're at. I mean, we went deep, and people looked at, when I was done with my presentation, people looked at me like, wow, she's special. Except for a few people. And one individual who I'm in conversation with, who's now a lead of IT. She says, remember that conversation? I was like, I remember the essence of it because that's my vision. And she says, it was off the charts. I mean, in her own words, she says, I remember that. And that sets you apart from everybody else because you went to a place that people could not even imagine. And they thought you had lost it, albeit temporarily. And maybe some people thought I lost it permanently or never had it. But the point is, when you vision big, when you think beyond the obvious, when you allow yourself to dream, to fly in your dreams, to check out the different territories, to check out the different spaces within time, or even beyond time and space. Oh my goodness. And you wake up and you're like, where in the heck did I go? But don't forget where you went. Write it down. Allow yourself to stay there for an instant, even if you choose not to share with anybody else. Initially, allow it to cultivate the vision within you, the passion within you. You may be onto something that literally will revolutionize the nature of how we experience our humanity. Please, we need each one of you to go there. We need you to be free to be able to go there. And definitely we want you to have the financial information so that you can take care of your investments, and you can dream big, and you can dream bigger, and you can be the solution that we need. And we need a lot of solutions. Right, Dr. Kwende?
Absolutely. As you're saying that, Dr. Webb, I'm just thinking this morning, every morning, my wife and I, we read some passage from the Bible, and we studying, we read a passage by Warren Buffett, right? He has a daily devotional that he does. And today he said something extremely, poignant. And it's like this. You can be one of two things. You can be a cup or you are a straw. A cup can only carry so much, but you can pass so much through the straw. Makes sense? So when you hear this information we're sharing right now, you can choose to be a cup and only get so much, or you can be the straw and pass on lots of liquid to other people. In the process, you're going to be more blessed than if you stay like a cup. If you get full and that's all you want, awesome. But if you pass on the information, you're going to be even more blessed. And he said that God blesses you as you bless others. Makes sense? So the only way we can become truly wealthy is to pass on wealth. That's why we do the wealth equation series. Why? Because in our society, we don't get to learn stuff like this. And Dr. Webb, I really want to appreciate you for making this platform available for us to talk to the common person about basic things about wealth.
It is my distinct honor. I feel extremely fortunate, and I know you do, and I know your wife does. If only for those 3 kids who are just gorgeous, brilliant, smart. You're paying forward, you two, for that generation, and then their children's children, and on and on. And that's what we want to do for all of the folks we know. When I think about my nieces and nephews, when I think about my godchildren, when I think about my brothers and sisters, and I think about my other loved ones, cousins I know, I don't know, and I think about humanity, my goodness, because I believe we're all literally connected. It's just an illusion, folks, that we're separate. Yes, I've got this beautiful brown, well, I don't even know what color skin, because depending upon where you look on my body, it's different colors. I love this. I love me. I don't like everything about me, but I love me. I love Dr. Kwende and his wife and his children. I don't even know his wife and children fully, but I know I love them deeply. I love the possibilities of us creating something that we can't contain, that literally allows itself to just morph, transform. Oh my gosh. And before we know it, the cars that already exist that are flying, that they've been testing for years, are all over the place, right? I mean, we've been imagining this for over 30 years. The submerged homes that already exist that most of us don't know about, leverage the war more. The ability to literally be in remote locations beyond just Zoom, etc., literally in an instance that they've been testing for a long time, folks, that most of us don't know about. It's in place. The genius of us is remarkable. And I want to go to something that one of my nieces shared with me that informed a recent broadcast. And I'm going to put it up. Just leaving a financial legacy is where your kids and grandkids don't have to worry about their needs and can pursue their heart's desire. That's my goddaughter, Tahamaki, and her name is misspelled. Oh, I'm so sorry, Tahamaki. But that's what this is about. It's really about freeing up us. It's not just about having money. Money in and of itself, those of you who've had a lot of money, you understand it's not a big deal. And those of you who've just literally got rid of stuff you don't need and it reduced your expenses, where you just have marginal expenses and you have all the savings, you understand money is not that big of a deal. The freedom to do what you want is what money provides. Financially independence allows you to pursue your heart's desires. And that's what we're talking about, right, Dr. Kwende?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly the truth, right? And for me, one of the things that I want to kind of reemphasize, obviously, is the idea of vision, right? The Bible says that where there's no vision, the people are going to perish. Now, most people struggle what vision actually means. Let me put it very simply. Vision is what you are willing to do for others. Because as you do for others, then you get for you. Right? So whenever they say vision is about stuff you want to do for other people, and I know people miss that part. If you don't have vision, you never succeed in life. You can never become wealthy. Think about all the wealthy people. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, they set out to make a difference for other people. That's what makes them wealthy. So even if we teach you the concepts of wealth, but you don't understand that it's about doing for others, you're still going to be broke. That's why if you act like a cup, you want everything, you're going to be full and you're done. But if you act like a straw, you pass things through you, it's game over. Personally, that's why I love this platform, Dr. Webb, because I get to share some of the things that I think, like seriously, right? I love the business platform because I get to empower other people to get what they want.
Yeah, we are very fortunate. And we know that it's more than just, it's not about luck. It's not about being just in the right place, the right time. It's about us deciding at some point in our respective ways, in our respective spaces, that this is what we want to do. And the universe gave us this platform, not just the ability to speak on a weekly basis, but to be part of a system that is so well oiled, so well tuned, that all we have to do is plug ourselves into it, be of service to others, and oh my goodness, we help people. That's what we're talking about, folks. So if you find this or any content that we provide here on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn Live, Roku TV, Amazon TV, please subscribe. Please click the like. I have never done that before in all of our episodes. And I've been reminded by one of my brothers and folks who are expert in this field that we need to do that because there's so much good content. Well, thank you for those of you who are letting us know that this content is valuable. So please let people know in the way that is promoted through social media. I have a lot to learn, and thank you for giving me that constructive feedback, or us that constructive feedback. So Dr. Kwende, once again, you're a remarkable colleague, friend, professional, leader, and it's an honor to be able to leverage you. And because of the nature of your wife, to be leverage her vicariously, because I know she's so central to your well-being and your effectiveness. And that's what this is about, folks. Remember, the folks in your network, let them edify you, let them add value to you as you edify and add value to them. If folks are in your network and they do just the contrary, you can honor them, you can care about them, you can even deeply love them. Make certain that you safeguard your space, your energy, you. Last words you would like to share, Dr. Kwende?
Sure, Dr. Webb. So frankly, I really want to, appreciate you and honor you. I want you to know that, my wife and I, we love you. And, this platform is unreal. And when I'm looking 5-10 years from now, I see the difference and what this can make, right? Can you imagine even as a people, as a society, we grow up being told everything but what we really need to know.
Yeah.
And so for once, we're starting to empower each other with the right knowledge, right? That's invaluable. I used to think that I want to write a book, but guess what? More people can see what we're doing right now than me writing any book, right? So I love the opportunity to share. I mean, we're just empowering each other. Please take this seriously and make sure that you become more aware, you take some action, you're brutally honest, you create a burning desire, and you go out and make a commitment to make a difference in others' lives so your life can be changed too. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this platform. So I want to thank you so much, Dr. Webb.
Thank you. It's my honor, sincerely, deeply. And thank you for those of you who are viewing. You've made comments, and we are making it a point to share your comments on the screen because we want to elevate and honor you too. Thank you for leveraging us, and let's move forward to continue to make a positive difference that elevates our species and life itself. Why don't?